Joshua Tree, California is a super hot market for short-term rentals right now. It's about a 2.5-hour drive from LA and was kind of a hidden gem here in SoCal for people that wanted to live far away from like the suburb and city life, and has just recently become kind of this super popular getaway destination for natives here in SoCal, but for people really all over the world.
Joshua Tree National Park recorded 2.4 million visitors in 2020 and was listed as the 10th most visited national park last year.
We got our first short-term rental in Joshua Tree in September of 2020, and there were around 900 other active short-term rentals at the time. And we just checked the data on Airbnb today, and they're reporting 1,052 active listings.
So in half a year, the market has grown rapidly, and the number is really expected to grow with it being such a hot vacation spot for locals and travelers who are coming out to see that beautiful desert life.
We currently have 6 short-term rentals in Joshua Tree, 3 of which we just closed back to back in a span of like, what, 4 weeks? So
3 weeks.
Yeah, so we've been super busy, and in this video, we want to give you guys an inside look on what it looks like to set up an Airbnb.
So there are several steps that go into setting up an Airbnb, and there's no right way to do it, but we're going to share how we've been doing it and really just hope that it helps you guys set up your own properties as well.
And just want to point out, we begin these steps once the property's under contract, and we recommend you guys do the same. That way, once you guys close, you're not waiting to order all the furniture and hire that cleaning team, because then you'll be losing out on potential revenue from renting the properties out.
Now, before we start, we want to just lay out the details on this specific property. Now, we got this one for $285,000 at 10% down, and we used a vacation home loan to get that 10% down payment. And we also have a partner in this deal as well.
All right, now let's break it down. We've separated this setup process into 5 different steps: design, utilities, team, installation, and listing.
So step 1 is design. Now, this is a very important step because it can really set the tone for how well your property is going to do. We like to create themes in our properties and purchase items that help really bring that theme to life. For this specific property, we felt that the colors were fun and kind of feminine, so we wanted to use that to our advantage and do kind of like a girls' desert weekend retreat getaway.
Bachelorette vibes, super girly and fun. That was this girl's idea. So I really love designing. I have so much fun doing it, but Tony here thought it'd be best to hire an interior designer, especially because this property wasn't turnkey. So it was like a blank canvas, and I could have either done really well or really bad. So.
I mean, and it's really small, so we really wanted to make sure we could utilize the space to the best of our ability.
So with that being said, we decided to hire an interior designer, and it's actually a friend of mine. Her name is Brianna. You can find her on Instagram at Brianna Michelle Interiors. We'll make sure to include her name here. But she's so awesome, and once she was on board, we told her what our vision was, what our budget was, which was $5,000 for this property, and she came back with an amazing PDF laying out exactly how the property in every corner of the house was going to look, and also provided an Excel sheet listing every single item that we should order with the price and the link to click and purchase. So amazing. I don't think I could have done that great of a job without her, so good job in deciding to hire Bree.
Now, my wife also did some work as well.
Yep, that's true.
Bree didn't fill out every single wall, and there were some other things we wanted to add. So it was really a combination. I think Bree laid a really strong foundation, but then my wife went back and added her own touch as well.
So me and Bree, we're the dream team.
So once we ordered all of the items that Bree suggested, we had to add a few other things like all of the household stuff. So that's things like towels, linens, mattresses, trash cans, etc., little iron and ironing board.
Yeah.
Now, we had all of these items shipped to our house, so our house turns into like a small storage facility for like 3 weeks while we're gathering all of these items, and then we run a big U-Haul and drive everything over to the property in one fell swoop.
But again, we recommend placing these orders, creating the design. Like, this is the pro tip right here, highlight this. Do not wait until you close on the property to do this, because again, delivery lead times will vary, especially for large furniture pieces like the bed frame and things like that. So don't wait till last minute, and also be mindful of what pieces you're selecting. Like, pay attention to that delivery time frame. So if it's going to take a month after your estimated closing date, probably choose an alternative option.
And we learned this the hard way. One of the first properties we had to set up that was completely blank, we waited for a while to actually order everything, and the property sat vacant for like almost a month. So that's literally an entire month of short-term rental revenue that you miss out on simply because you didn't order your items early enough. Now, you might be thinking, hey, Tony, Sarah, what happens if I buy all of this stuff and I don't end up closing on the property? Return it, right? So just make sure you're buying from places that has really good return policies.
We're big Amazon people, and Amazon's so cool with the returns. We go to our local Kohl's usually, and it's super simple. So highly recommend Amazon. All right, step number 2 is utilities. This is when you set up all the utilities and permits and insurances that are needed for your property. Electric, water, and trash are super simple to set up and don't require you to schedule appointments for a tech to come out or anything like that. But the internet, we use Spectrum, and the propane are utilities that do require you to make appointments and to actually be present during installation for a tech to be there and all that. And most of the houses in Joshua Tree run on propane tanks, just FYI. We didn't know that until we got one of the properties and we didn't have hot water, and they're like, no, you actually gotta get a huge propane tank. So again, that was our first property that was already empty for a month. So a lot of learning lessons, but just a little tip for those of you guys looking to invest in Joshua Tree.
Now, applying for a short-term rental permit is also a super important step, and it's required for you to have your actual short-term rental. Now, where we invest at in Joshua Tree, it costs $680, and it takes about a week or two to get it. So make sure you apply with enough time, again, so you're not sitting on the property and letting that permit hold you back.
All right, step number 3 is team. So this is where you find your dream team, AKA your cleaner and your handyman. This step only applies, of course, to people who are self-managing and not using a property manager or servicing themselves.
So if you're super lost and don't know anyone in the market you chose, we'd recommend, again, joining short-term rental Facebook groups. We've talked about this in our other videos, and they are really an amazing resource. That's how we learned a lot of our initial education about short-term rentals. But we're pretty sure there are probably some that are specific to the market that you invest in, which will be even better. Now, you can ask in these groups and get leads that way for cleaners and for handymen. The cleaner that we're using right now, we actually found as a recommendation through a Facebook group. And we actually already made a video on how to scout a good cleaner, so we'll make sure to link to that somewhere
link below
here. So make sure you guys check that out at some point as well.
And just like Tony said, you kind of get recommendations. So cleaners and handyman usually kind of know each other, and they make recommendations, and you can have a few to choose from. It's always good to have more than one backup.
So make sure you ask around, right? Ask your cleaner once you find a good one if they know any good handyman, or if you find your handyman first, ask him if he or she knows any good cleaners. If you're in a really mature vacation rental market, maybe your realtor knows somebody. So talk to people that you're interacting with and see what recommendations they've got for you.
So once you've got your handyman and cleaner, the next important person on your team is your photographer. So you will hire this person to take professional photos for your listing. And 100% do not skip out on this part. Professional photos will make a world of a difference. So don't let your iPhone pictures impress you too much. We look at listings just for competitive reasons and for inspo, and we see a lot of people use
terrible pictures.
Terrible picture, like iPhone pictures, or like worse than iPhone pictures, So don't be that person. So cleaner, handyman, photographer. Step number 3 is done.
Now, one other kind of bonus tip, and we've done this for a couple of our listings as we take them live, but sometimes the scheduling for our photographer doesn't line up with when we want to take that property live. So the only time we'll use our own iPhone photos is to do a soft launch for the property, just so we can kind of get the bookings in quickly. And usually we'll only have those up for maybe a week to 10 days while we wait on the professional photos coming from the photographer. So that's probably the only time where it's an okay idea to use your own photos.
And even then, be strategic with how you take them, right? Like Tony's not good at taking photos in general, so I'm the automatic person that does that. And then once I take them, I go and edit the photo to make it look a little bit nicer than just a cell phone photo. All right, step number 4, installation. So this is probably the most dreadful part for us. We get up super early. Tony said we rent a huge U-Haul. We load the truck with all of the boxes that have filled up our house and garage over the last few weeks. And then we drive out to the property with a toolbox, snacks, and we're kind of moody with each other just because we're really grateful for the house and excited, but we're dreading me, the broken nails, Tony gets a bad back, so we're kind of sour patches on installation day.
Now it's pretty much Sarah and I doing all of the furniture building and really getting the property furnished. Sometimes we take Sean, our son, along to, you know, it helps build character and really just teaching them the value of doing hard work in a business that you own. You know, we definitely recommend the more hands, the better. But obviously go by faster with more people that are there to help you. From time to time, we also use our handyman to do a lot of the install stuff as well. So like things like building the pergola, we're obviously not going to do ourselves. We don't have that in our skill set yet. You know, he's like up there hanging the light fixtures and doing other things that aren't things that I'm not really man enough to do on my own, I guess. So shout out to you, Nacho, for always holding it down for us.
This is our superstar of the team, Nacho. Woo! We've already had a few people reach out to Tony and ask, who's building those pergolas? And we're like, oh shoot, they're gonna steal Nacho.
We actually also had the most adorable warm welcome from our next door neighbors, Olivia, Shane, and Justin. Hi guys.
Shout out to you guys.
They came over to welcome us to the neighborhood and they were so sweet and even helped us unload. So super cute. Thank you guys for doing that.
Now it took us about 2 days to fully furnish this property. And we hired our handyman, aka our Joshua Tree Superman Nacho, to install things we didn't know or weren't confident in, to really make it look nice. So he did things like the wallpaper, which came out fantastic for this house. We added a few additional light fixtures and security cameras. So he's the guy that does most of the more kind of technical work within the house.
This step includes setting everything up and getting it guest ready, from taking the tape off of the bottom of the pans. I learned that the hard way. I forgot to do that in our very first house, and then they stained the top of our stove, so remember to check that. And things like tightening all the light bulbs and getting the owner closet fully stocked with toilet paper, soap, extra towels and linens, and all of that stuff.
So once the place is all set up, we have our cleaning team come clean the property as if a guest were checking in, and then we coordinate with our photographer to come and actually take the photos.
One thing to point out that we've learned along the way is that you will have a ton of boxes to break down. So have a plan on what you're gonna do with them. I personally recommend breaking them down after each item that you take out of the box. That way you're not having to wait until you're done setting up the whole property. Now you have a mountain of boxes that you need to break down, right?
Yeah.
That's also probably the most dreadful part, is breaking down the boxes.
Driving to the dump to try and get rid of everything.
Yeah, or recycle them to someone that needs them, whatever. But figure out what to do with them. And that's it. Installation step is complete.
Now, before we keep moving, we'd really appreciate if you guys could give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, hit the little bell for notifications. We're still a new and growing channel. We're still YouTube rookies. So every new subscriber really does mean the world to us. And if you want to connect with us on Instagram, I'm at Tony J. Robinson. She's at Sarah Rad, and we would love to chat with you guys on there as well. Okay, so the last step is the listing. Now, we use Airbnb and Vrbo, and they're both pretty simple to navigate. It's like filling out almost like a Facebook profile, but for your property. And one day we'll create a separate video on how you actually set up the Airbnb listings from like the back end. But again, you shouldn't wait until you close on the property to do this. Instead, you should have the listing ready and saved as a draft, and go live once you're officially closed and you have all your photos and everything's all set up.
So you will use the photos from the photographer for the listing, and you will need to somehow communicate the calendar bookings with your cleaning team. So we use SmartBnB and had our cleaners download the app, and we sat down one day with them and walked them through how to understand the calendar. That way we don't have to communicate with them on a daily or weekly basis. They know their own schedule by checking on the SmartBnB app, and there's no room for confusion, right?
This is Ophelia and Diana, mother-daughter duo, killing it. They're our awesome cleaning team.
So you're all set?
Yes! You guys feel confident you can do this?
We also use a digital guidebook, which we highly, highly recommend. That has everything the guests need to know, like check-in instructions. We've got fire pits at every property in Joshua Tree, so how to use a fire pit, eating recommendations, local restaurants, attractions, all of the questions that guests typically have before they're checking in. We use the guidebook to answer those. Now, we use a website called Hostfully, and that's also something that we just kind of put together while we're under contract to make sure that it's ready to go once the listing is live.
And that's it. So once you've completed those 5 steps, you've set up your short-term rental. Woo! So it'll probably be super exciting, scary, stressful, exhausting, all at the same time. We know this because that's how we felt every single time, but if you're anything like us, you'll probably love the process and love the outcome even more.
So we really hope you guys enjoyed this video and found something helpful from our 5 steps when it comes to setting up your own short-term rental. Now, we also recorded another video about how to buy a short-term rental, so make sure you guys check that one out. You put those two together, you've got a pretty good game plan on how to start your own short-term rental business. Now, we will link to the listing for the Sweet Tang house below so you guys can check it out. And please do us a huge favor and hit the little like or heart on that listing as well. That helps increase that listing's visibility within the Airbnb search algorithm.
Make sure to leave a comment below. We love reading your guys' comments. Let us know what you thought about the listing. And if you want to stay at the Sweet Tang house, look it up on Airbnb. It's at airbnb.com/h/Sweet Tang House, HAUS for house. And yeah, reserve it. It's so fun. It's super cute. It's a really good location, close to downtown Joshua Tree. The view of the mountains is so beautiful. I'm trying to sell our short-term rental right now to you guys.
Well, we hope you guys enjoyed the video.
Yes.
As always, I'm Tony.
I'm Sarah.
And we are
the Real Estate Robinsons.